Many other things in Jacksonville and many other people. I would like to ask, before we begin the dedication, to ask Reverend Wendell Dorman if he would begin with a prayer for us.
Let us bow our heads as we pray. Our Father in heaven, we are grateful for this very special day as we come to dedicate the Ben Rice Memorial. We're grateful for his life, for his love, for his dedication. He had such a vision not only for churches but communities and this military museum. He'll always have a very special place in our hearts, and because of this memorial it will even be more so. So today we ask your blessings upon our meeting together. Guide and direct us all the days of our life, we pray.
Amen. Amen. Thank you. I did not prepare any remarks for today. I really don't need any prepared remarks. I could talk for a long time about Ben Rice and his dedication not only to this museum but to the community. Our friendship goes back, I can't believe it, more than 50 years. He came to South Arkansas to hire me to come to Jacksonville, open a radio station, but he found a frequency while he was still in law school at George Washington University in Washington. And in August of 1963, we opened that radio station and have many fond memories. Ben finished law school, and as most of us know, and we then opened his offices at Main and Bailey. And from there are many things in Jacksonville. I know that in those early years he also had ink in his blood for the newspaper. He was active with the local newspaper and had a great active part in that. Then we came to the radio station. We can hopscotch down Main Street and all around town, and there's a footprint or a handprint that Ben Rice has left. Then we get to this museum. Oh my goodness, those early years we had, of course, no money. We just had a vision, and Ben's vision was very clear, and if you knew him at all, you knew that he was, once he got an idea that was good for the community and good for his family, he never let it go until he reached the goal. This is part of that. This part of the museum is almost exclusively Ben Rice. He gathered many, many things for the museum, and almost all that are in this Ordinance Plant section of the museum. He held on to many of these pictures and artifacts through the struggle of finding money to get us started. Two men, Colonel Vilmar and Hank Conard, gave us some acreage, some property that gave us a real foothold in securing the financing to get us started. And Ben sold that to Walmart. And there, and I'm skipping a few little things, but from there we bought this building and this property. And I'm proud to say that I was associated with Ben Rice for a little more than 50 years.
Sorry.
His legacy is here, and of course with his family. Many of you can add to what I've already said about him. There are stories upon stories that he has given of himself, his love and dedication to the community. Many parts of it. He's touched each one of us lives, whether in the practice of law or community service in one form or another. His mother Melda, and Susan, his wife, and others of his family, his daughters, we're all here to say, Ben, we love you and we miss you. And I think that our challenge now is to keep the dream going. We miss him, but we see his work every day. I know that Warren Dupree, who is a great contributor to this museum, he's responsible for much of what you see, especially in the new exhibits in the new section. Warren is our go-to historian, and we have a question, he's the guy that we go to first. Where's Danica? She's
Probably working on that.
She's maybe stirring the lemonade. But Warren, I know that you have some remarks to give us. Would you
Sure. I'm going to stand over here if that's all right up here, but I'm disheveled enough usually at these events to kind of stay out of the spotlight anyway. It was my pleasure to come on actually kind of late to this project for considering a lot of the years that people had put into it. I came in about 3 to 4 months before the museum opened its doors, and essentially my first contact was on an initiative from Ben Rice. He had asked if my boss wanted to move his coin and collectible shop over and run the gift shop here in the museum. It proved not to be practical. There wasn't enough room, but it piqued my interest, and I was invited to join the board not too long before the museum opened. And it's been my pleasure to work in many capacities here as basically a collections manager, and as I tell people, whatever else anybody doesn't want to do around here. So. But I probably worked more closely with Ben than any other member of the board after the doors were opened at this museum in May. And when we'd get tied down with the humdrum and the day-to-day and trying to get from point A to point B, Ben was always out here looking at point M or S or Z. Always. He had that vision, and it kept things interesting, and I miss those Monday mornings with him quite a bit. But just about the exhibit here, because of his, and we covered it a little bit, because of his interest in all facets of the museum, it's a little bit difficult in some respects to come up with just what kind of a memorial to do for Ben, but then at the same time, it seemed rather obvious because he's probably more focused on the ordinance plant than any other portion of this, as much because of the history and the importance of the ordinance plant in the development of Jacksonville, to the people that lived here, to his family, and to all of us. So it made it a rather obvious choice to just dedicate the AOP exhibit to him, and hopefully future iterations and versions of the board will continue this farther down, and hopefully if we're in new quarters and bigger displays and exhibits, we'll continue to carry this through. I took it upon myself on this exhibit to put something I always think a good museum needs is a little Latin, and it's something we haven't had around here. And I made it a point not to put the translation on there because I also think that museums should cause you to ask questions as well as answer things about history. And the idiom of that, not the literal translation, but the translation essentially means to begin a thing is half the task. And the rest of the quote is, it requires bravery, so begin. And I thought that applied quite well to Ben. There was nobody that pursued this quite like he did, I don't think. And we're just happy to, and honored as the board to be able to honor him here today.
Thank you, Warren. Thank you very much. I'm sure there are other Ben stories that we can exchange, and maybe we can during refreshments. But Melda, do you have a word for us?
I just appreciate this so much.
We are more than happy to do anything that we could for the memory of Ben Rice. He has been a friend and a mentor and many other things to us, his friends, and to the community. he did a great many things that many of us may not even know about, and which was typical also.
He loved all of you also.
I think that we saw that in Ben. He certainly showed that in many of his own individual ways. Susan, you have?
I can't talk.
Holly?
I usually can't shut up, so I'm kind of speechless too. I just remember how much he was so passionate about this.
Yes, he
and
was.
this is just, thank you for this.
He's still here.
I know,
Still
he's here.
Carl, do you have something to say?
Yeah. I've been thinking all day about a time when Dad and I saw someone's name on a building, and I said, Dad, what if somebody did that for you? Some of the things that you were doing. I can't really imitate him, but he said, no. And he paused for a minute, and he said, well, maybe after I'm gone, it'll be okay.
So here we are doing that.
Yeah. It's wonderful. And also, I think it's great that the timing, the day after my grandmother's birthday.
Happy belated birthday, Molly.
97.
They upgraded me yesterday on this.
You can let us know where you are. Does anyone else have special remarks about Ben? I know Bob Batten has been a law partner for many years. You're not at loss for words, are you, Bob?
No, but I don't agree heavily. I think since Ben's death, I know we all, I know he's not happy.
I'd like to say something.
Yes, sir.
Ben and I grew up together. We cut grass for 50 cents a yard and $1 if we were lucky. The lawnmower we had wasn't motorized, it was old time. A lot of people forget, Ben got in the Air National Guard, went to basic, texted, he worked for me. And then he went on to Washington. But Ben was a very, very dear friend of me, his mother. We go back a long time.
Thank you. Hesser, you had something?
Yeah, he's probably still wanting that tile done in the.
We'll talk later.
That's about Z, you know.
We always had a project, as you know.
Joni, for someone who grew up in the north, I'm a displaced Yankee, have only been here 24 years, so I'm a newcomer. But Ben showed me what it was to be a true Southern gentleman.
Yes, he was. And I'm glad that you reminded us that he was. The epitome.
I didn't have much dealings with him here at the Military Museum, but I did have 7 pleasant years working with Ben at the church, of his church. And Ben was a forward thinker. He was always thinking of things to do. And he'd come by the office every once in a while, and he had great things to propose. And he knew that probably we would go along with it, because usually whenever he left, he presented the bill to me. Ben was a very special person.
Thank you.
Joan,
Anyone else?
Gloria, Southern gentleman. I worked for him for 30 plus years. I've never heard him say a cuss word.
And
He cussed at Carl and I.
And he was a good boss
thank you, Gloria.
and a good friend.
Yes, he was. Anyone else?
I'd like to say something.
Okay.
Ben hired me, and something that I am internally, will always be grateful for. I'm here day in and day out. Y'all, we all know what a great place this is, but y'all don't get to hear the comments day in and day out. And the question always is, who got this place started? And I tell them it's just, you know, there's a lot of people that were responsible for getting this place started, but it was really the we can do it determination of Ben to get these doors open. And we have people come in from all over the United States now. If you look at our roster of visitors, and they are absolutely shocked at what a great museum this is. And so much of that is due to Ben. So, and thank you for my job.
Thank you all so much again for being here. We're grateful for the family and for the ongoing tributes. We all know that he was a great friend, and we miss him very much. I know that there are refreshments if you'll join us.
And those of you that haven't been in here in a while or haven't been in here before, please explore if you haven't already. Everything's opened up and going.
There are some new exhibits, and especially here where the World War II exhibits begin, and also in the back in the new section. There are new exhibits. So take your time and enjoy.
Thank you.
Thank you.